Coin, operated koi. Scary but it's true. He was not a Jew, but honestly no shit's fine. He had the bar mitzvah, now he's kosher too. He's just like me and you. Coin, operated Jew.
Brief forward, the original plan is being slightly altered. This is Vida Pony's last video. I'm going to play a clip. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on this topic. The video in front of you is also done. There is a lot of information on Toon Kritic Y2K at this moment, and whether you agree with that information being true or not, my advice even before all of this hit was that you should put a distance between this man and yourself. That's a short, brief answer that will serve you well. I'm very upset. My personal issues with Vida, as well as my girlfriend's, do not outweigh the needs of the many. I want to say that again. For everyone right now who's looking at me cross-eyed and disgusted for not covering up the Toon Kritic matter, if you're uncomfortable about that shot at the end of Vida's video,
I'd like to take a minute to address Toon's old friends. Or, more accurately, the late Toon's circle jerk. While Toon Kritic is solely responsible for his actions, you have a great deal of blame in all this. You've always been aware of Toon's deviant sexual behavior, but refused to tackle it head on, instead choosing to brush it under the rug or give him a little slap on the wrist. This is why I keep saying you need to hold your friends to even higher standards than you hold strangers. If anyone can stop something like this from happening before it happens, it's going to be the person in question's closest friends. They can pick up on the warning signs and either help correct the behavior or get them to seek professional help. Toon Crew, the only real credit I can give you for this is finally cutting ties with them.
as I told Toon Kritic, I would get back to me, or I will make what Vida said feel like a pleasant memory. There has been a lot of winking at Toon's behavior. I know I've done it. What really angers the shit out of me right now, right here, all of you guys managed to give this guy the moral high ground. Congratulations! Aside to ANY and DeWilstonator, Annie, I understand that generally you're not around in these rooms. You're a very busy man, yet you found the time to try and cut my nuts off from behind the scenes. Classy. As for you, Will, it comes as no surprise that the brony's biggest diva / snowflake would run off like a triggered 5-year-old. We both know you gave more than your fair share of winks at Toon Kritic's behavior. You are a long, long way from sticking up your nose and looking down at me, Buster Brown. Long story short, this reminds me a great deal of the KP drama. Next time, hound out to Brony65. Business as usual. So I keep having to add to this. Before we leave you guys on a down note, I'd like to share some positives. This comes from Robin0928. I'd like to read this now. Ladies and gentlemen, I am at a loss for words. Nothing I can say will be enough to articulate all the emotions I feel right now. So let's just start with the facts. As of now, I do not plan to finish any outstanding work with this person, nor do I plan on casting them in any upcoming projects. My deepest condolences go out to the victims of these actions. What happened is inexcusable and wrong, and the actions described are worthy of strong condemnation. I honestly have nothing. This whole situation has hurt myself and many of my closest friends. This person was my friend and a constant collaborator and friend of the show, but I will make no excuses for the actions described and seen in those screenshots. I'm sorry for the serious tone of this post. I will get back to my silliness as soon as possible, but I needed to cement my position on this. And from now on, the person in question will not be involved in any Robin0928 productions. Thank you for reading -R. I'd like to play a short clip from Faith Melimous's channel.
For those of you guys who are out of the loop, ERP is erotic role-playing, which is pretty much sexual stories between two people where they put themselves within the story. Kind of like phone sex, if you want to just equate it to that. During this, he would send explicit, furry, pornographic material to her to encourage her to hurry up her replies and encourage her in creativity. Throughout this, he mentions that he's not a pedophile, that he wants to imagine her as being 18 during these role plays. He also says multiple times that he's just not attracted to her on a physical level. However, if you want any kind of thing that restores your faith in humanity or makes you feel some sort of completion about this, because it is a sad topic, the people who were closest to Zach and closest to this situation, his friends, they sat him down and they told him that they were going to report him. They disassociated from him. They gave him 24 hours to turn himself in to the police, and that was the only way they could see ever forgiving him. They could have swept this underneath the rug easily. They could have hid it completely, and they didn't. And while you guys may think that it's very easy and it's a cut and dry case of just, yes, he did wrong and we should just immediately turn him in, it's different when that person has been your friend for years.
There are people I've butted heads with who, when the chips were down, did the right thing in this instance. Robin's post here is the sort of behavior and conduct I would have liked to have heard from Toon's friends, that I ended up hearing from someone far younger, far less morally obligated to be responsible. Robin was a long way from holding sway over Toon. I'd argue much less accountable to enabling his behavior. Nonetheless, this was one of the classiest gestures I've ever seen on this matter. As for Faith, aka Moliminous, he's had his differences with Toon and his friends, and this was a very magnanimous moment. I'm not concerned with Faith's motivations. I appreciate what he said and what he did. Thank you. There's a lot of anger out there right now, and rightfully so. I want to play a clip from Cavatini's video.
Hi everyone, this is Cavatina. Given recent events, a close friend of mine has asked me on her behalf to tell her story of her interactions with Toon Kritic over the past year. Both me and her feel betrayed and very tainted from the whole thing, and given the circumstances, we feel it is best to tell the story and to let everyone know that the young minor who was played by Toon in recent time was not the only victim. Now, I don't intend to speak further on the situation or my friend's experience past this video. I don't feel comfortable doing any podcasts or additional videos or blogs or anything like that to speak on behalf of my friend, and she has made it clear to me that she does not wish to speak at all directly on the matter, hence why I am passing it along. All content will be spelled out in this video. She wanted me to make this video for her in the hopes it would raise more awareness about all of this and to show just how easily minors can be played and emotionally and psychologically manipulated in the hands of a predator. I've been supporting her through all of this, and being afraid to address it herself, she asked me, and this is the video.
This is a reoccurring theme. I hope Toon Kritic's fans take a good, solid listen and look at this. I know I have. I also know, without calling anyone out specifically, God knows why, whenever I've either personally or seen anyone tap that circle on the shoulder, it's been a very cold reply. I want to put this out there before I covered Toon Kritic Y2K on How Not to Brony 61. Toon's friends and I were all cool. And now, I bring this up because I suspected some of you guys will be like, FNGR, why would they talk to you? And it's a matter of when and why they stopped. It's a matter of the topic and what's happening right now. I've talked to Limbo's contingent that was among Toon Kritic's fans. And once again, without name dropping them, I asked, in regards to Toon Kritic minus the kid stuff, how long were these people going to keep forgiving him? And the answer was, and I quote, probably indefinitely. Now, that's pretty shitty, but Limbo didn't prop Toon up in the brony community. Not nearly as much as the inner circle.
Hi everybody, it's Massacre Molly here. This is a completely different video than I had planned to do, but in light of recent events, I felt that I needed to come forward with a statement on the matter. I made a written statement already on Horse News. If you would like to read that as well, the link will be down in the description below. You can read that if you'd like. This was really hard for me to say and hard for me to put out there, so excuse me if I'm not in my correct mind state for this, but I felt it's time that I come forward on my experiences with Toon Kritic Y2K. I will also try to post some pics of the chat logs and roleplays in there as well.
It's not the fact that there are dozens of videos out there like this one. It's that Toon's friends knew about Massacre. Massacre Molly was in limbo once upon a time ago, and Toon noticed her and leaned on me to throw her out. This shortly after I had to bend over backwards to get Secret Dreamer into adding him into the Secret Rift just beforehand. I'd like to say that Toon did this a lot to try and get me to kick out people like Death Alchemist from Limbo. That time I did say no, but Toon gave the appearance if you didn't keep him happy, he could make his friends leave. This is the same reason why I talked to Foolery and why he said he needed to go back to the domain. Despite not being thrilled with Toon, he was prepared to put up with him because Toon created a bridge to talk to people like Keyframe, Golden Fox, Lightning Bliss, etc., etc. Toon could grant it and he could take it away. Do you know what a manipulative man like that could do with that kind of juice? Because Keyframe knew. I knew she knew because I fucking told her before BronyCon 2017. Nothing changed other than she got mad at me. This is one example. Me and Aeon of Dreams have sat around and philosophized, why in the fuck, you assholes, put up with this, Jagoff, as long as you have? And now that he's gone, I don't see any reason in hiding it anymore. These people are world-class fuck-ups. Toon ran over so many people and traded on their names, and they fucking knew about it and did nothing. They knew about Molly, they knew about Crescendo Galaxy, they knew about Mimkage. Moliminus earlier on gave that really nice speech, letting you guys off the hook. And you know, maybe you didn't know about the kid crap, but you knew he was stepping on and over girls left and right. And your response was, well, gee shucks, boys will be boys. Do you know, I have no idea why the fans should trust any of you people right now. You guys know, I want to say something aside to all my doubters and skeptics that you might want to take me with a pinch of salt. Do you know why you can trust me right now? You know, guys, I hate Dr. Wolf, backwards and forwards. If this was FNGR shitting on people because I could, as far as I can tell, Dr. Wolf kept Toon Kritic at a professional distance. And at most, that might imply he simply knew more than he let on. Even at worst case scenario, I can forgive that much. If this were some kind of bullshit agenda, I'd use it to blast Silverquill, but as far as I can tell, once again, that seemed to be a mostly professional distance, and in Josh Scorcher's case, I know Josh Scorcher, last I checked, wasn't in the domain. He showed up to that call with Toon Kritic when he clearly didn't have to. I and Josh are not besties, we're not buddies, we're not pals. And unlike Jerry Pete's autistic screeching, there will no doubt be designed to bend over backwards to put Josh on the hook for all this. In this instance, I'm at a loss at how you would even begin to do that, but I'm looking forward to correcting that. By the way, for anyone who wants to know, Toon's friends, to their credit, already had an FBI report filed well before that video came out, The Call. The turn yourself in line was a ploy to stall Toon for time, so he wouldn't try and get supporters for himself. My source being Aeon of Dreams, the man who let me know that Dr. Wolf used to play surrogate daddy to Jerry Pete. I believe him emphatically, entirely. By the way, I want to get this cheap shot in here. Unlike myself, Jerry does put himself at the center of the universe, and he's super salty that Josh made time to talk to a pedophile and not him.
Wait a minute. Hello?
Hey, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Okay, what's going on here? Like, can anyone tell me what's going on?
Okay.
Yes.
So,
British.
do you want me to begin?
Yeah, you get to begin.
Okay, so Toon, we're going to preface all of this with you're in trouble. And this is going to be, a group talk so that we can discuss what we think you need to do and give you a chance to defend yourself. Essentially, we know everything that you've been doing with Pastel over the last year, since November of 2016.
When it came times to put distance between this individual and himself. I'm not saying that means anything. I mean, other than people would rather talk to a pedo than you, Jerry. That should be the real title of the next glass of water. Joshua Burner made time for a pedo and not me. I can't wait to tear into that one. And this came up last night. This is Rendrick. He works for Horse News. He posted at 6:59 p.m. January 28th. Here is where I informed Mr. Medicare I'm at his disposal on anything he wants to know on Toon Kritic. At 1:42 p.m. January 28th. I came forward to talk to Jim 4 hours before you opened your autistic mouth rhetoric. But that's not the funny and ironic part. Here's a post where Vida is using Kiwi Farms to discredit a Horse News member from reporting falsely on myself. This post down here is where I told Toon Kritic off after the dog eye incident that I covered in How Not to Brony 61. If you don't trust me, you can talk to Vida as well as Dog Eye to verify that's what happened. Now, I could simply hide behind the first post to Jim, aka Mr. Medicare, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Because of Kiwi Farms and Vida, Rhetoric ended up looking like an asshole. I've asked Vida about this, and Vida said, Rhetoric, you had all this information for days, so basically you were being a sneaky, dishonest fuck. Shame, really. The Horse News article that was penned by Corpulent Brony on Toon Kritic is pretty reliable. Furthermore, best friend my ass. Even when I was friends with Toon, I never gave Toon admin in any of my chats. I had left the domain months ago. Hell, I began hitting Toon as far back as 7 months ago in How Not to Brony 43. I did so in 41, but that was more of a wrist slap. I've worked with Toon on podcasts, and to be honest with you, I've offered podcasts to Vida and Shelly D, even when we're feuding, even if I think that the right man to co-host. I did meet up with Toon Kritic to watch Suicide Squad in real life. That was not con related. He offered me, I went there, I bought the popcorn and the soda, and he covered the tickets. If you or Mr. Medicare have further questions, or anyone else for that matter, by all means, comment down below. Maybe we can do a podcast. Again, I've apologized to Jim for missing his podcast. I've repeatedly apologized for this. I've since listened to the Meadowcast since then. It's pretty good. Also, one last time, before we get to today's topic, I am not a fan of Dr. Wolf, but thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I've been receiving multiple messages asking about the current situation within the fandom. For those who may not have heard, a Brony reviewer named Toon Kritic Y2K, a person with whom I and many others have worked, has been engaging in sexually explicit chats with an underage girl. Many of us reacted with shock, confusion, anger, and sadness. The revelation has also demanded a strong reaction from members of the Brony community. To confirm, the authorities have been alerted to this situation, and members of the reviewer community messaged convention staff even before this became public knowledge. The goal being to make sure our fellow fans are able to engage in as safe and as healthy an environment as possible. People have questions and concerns, but the ability to enact a resolution is beyond our control. This is a matter for the authorities and for Toon Kritic to decide how to move forward.